All right, what is up? Today is Friday. The tactical games are tomorrow. The regional here in Texas held at Revilie Peak Ranch. My history with the tactical games is zero. Haven't done a skirmish. I did go spectate the Nationals last November, also held at Revilie Peak Ranch. So I don't know what to expect. You know, I got to see some of the stages that they were running at Nationals. I don't really know what the difference is as far as variation in those stages between regionals and nationals, or for that matter, a skirmish. So this is going to be my first experience starting bright and early tomorrow morning. We're going to have to do some running, maybe some rucking, lift some heavy stuff, you know, all the things that if you've watched any of the tactical games content, all the stuff that they're known for. So because it's my first event, and I'm going into it blind, you know, think what you will, but I signed up for the tactical division, which is like...
Shouldn't have done that. I think if he had to do it over again...
From my understanding, the division right under elite, going off the website, it seems like it goes men's elite, men's tactical, and then it goes down by age group. I've mentioned it in another video. I don't think I've put it out yet, but I don't have a whole lot of experience in CrossFit, and the tactical games, if you don't know, is kind of a cross between the CrossFit competition world and the shooting world. At least for this event, and it seems like most people go about it this way, I'm going to game it. Bring in the plate carrier. I'm about to go over my gear that I'm bringing. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm about to go over that. If not, just skip ahead to the competition side of this. Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm going to look at the stage, see what I need, change my shoes, change my kit, load up the ammo count and whatnot. So that's kind of how I am approaching this competition versus the old 18 defense where you kind of had to bring it all with you. So yeah, moving into what I'm bringing to my first ever tactical games experience. Start off with the primary weapon, 16-inch BCM AR platform with a 16-inch Geisley barrel, cold hammer forged, 1.7 twist rate. It's fairly new barrel. I don't think I've quite shot it through its break-in period yet, but it is, in my opinion, from what I've seen so far, more accurate than the 14.5 BCM barrel that I had in there previously. The lower and upper are both BCM. The only difference there is a Radian charging handle. Faro Concepts Slickster sling. Sling is a required item for the tactical games. Optics, got a 1:6 Razor. It is an MOA scope. Right now it's 0 to 100 yards. I chose 100 yards. I went into the old 18 defense with more of a combat zero, the Marine Corps 36 yard zero. I honestly didn't like, I mean, it's completely user error there, user preference there. I didn't like having to deal with holding under at ranges closer than like 250, 280 and in. And I was struggling with targets at like 150, just not knowing that hold, that low hold for closer range targets. And I talked about that, and that's just that's user error. I mean, you could totally go in with 36 yard zero and know your rifle, know your holds really well, and do that. But I figured there's a better chance of these targets at this competition being within 200 yards, even though they say that they can go out to 700. I've got my dope for out to 700, so I'm not too worried about that. Wow, it's already rubbed off somehow. Okay, so I will... Yeah, it's a long rifle. I will have my dope on there for out to 700. I figure a lot of the precision shots where it's a smaller target. They like to do a lot of like triangles, squares, and circles type thing, out to, I believe, 100 yards. I wanted that to be point of aim, point of impact, basically. And who knows, I might not like it. It may not serve me well. I may end up having to change that in the future, but I'm going to give it a shot this time. I know a lot of people go into the tactical games with a higher powered scope, like a 2-12 or a 2-10 or something like that. But hey, the 1-6, it's what I got. And that's what I'm using. I'm not going to go out and buy another scope just for this competition. Up front, we've got a Huxworks flash hider, and on that is a Huxworks 7.62 Ventum. I've got 7.62 because I also shoot 300 blackout, and I want to be able to just swap between the two whenever I want. So yeah, it's not, it's not a 5.56 can, and the Ventum is a pretty heavy can, so I have kind of debated, that might be one of the ways that I kind of game the competition is if we have like a ruck or somewhere we have to carry the rifle on our back, I might go without the suppressor. But if the rifle's getting left on the firing line, then I'm definitely going to be running it with the suppressor. On that note, I confirmed zero this morning with Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point. It's either the rifle is more accurate or I'm just more accurate with a suppressor. The grouping was a lot tighter. I got onto zero a lot faster. I zeroed it first without the suppressor to get a baseline, and then I zeroed it with the suppressor and just took note of what those adjustments were. And I know that's going to change my dope out to distance, but I think it's probably going to be close enough to where I'll be able to make corrections in the moment, which isn't ideal for a competition, but it's just the way that I'm going to go into it, just because I don't know what to expect, like I said, and I am not sure what configuration really I'm going to have the rifle in. Obviously stripped everything off of it. Usually I run the mod light on there, bipod, and Arca rail for the tripod, but boy does that stuff make it heavy, and I'm not going to need any of that. And honestly, I don't even think you can shoot the tactical games with a bipod. I've never seen anybody do it. So yeah, so secondary weapon platform. Once again, just what I have and what I use. It's not at all a competition weapon, but Shadow Systems MR920 TLR7 light on there. I am absolutely not going to need a flashlight for this competition, but that's what my holster accepts, and I'm used to having it on there, so that's how it's going. I'm going to start off with a 21 round mag, and then I have a 15 round mag. After that, it's all 5s or 15s. No, I just said 5 pistol mags, a 21 rounder, a 17 rounder, and the rest are 15s. Holosun 507K green dot is what's on there. I like this pistol. I like to shoot it. I've shot it a lot. The Glock Smile is strong on that barrel. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with this handgun, so that's what I'm going to run because it's what I have and it's what I like. All right, moving into kit. In here are training plates. They are Rep Fitness, I believe, 7 pounds each, front and back. For men in the tactical games, your plate carrier has to weigh at least 15 pounds. The plates are sitting in a Haley Strategic Thorax carrier, and that is coming out to 18 pounds, the way that I have it, which is obviously 3 pounds heavier. I don't know how close people try to get to that weight of 15 pounds, but I'm used to, if there's a weight limit that you have to make, it's better that you're over it than right on it, because you don't know what their scale is going to do. Like I said, another way that I might game this is ammo management, ammo carrying. As you can see, I think this is the configuration I'm going to run it in. I think I'm going to run it slick on the front because I'm probably going to be picking things up, and the way that the placard I usually use sits, it is a Haley Strategic 3 mag placard. Haley Strategic has these really cool plastic inserts that hold the mag really well, as opposed to a lot of other placards out there that just have an elastic, where in the tactical games that would help you. These have an actual plastic form to them that clip the magazine in. You can hear it. Like, there's a lot of retention in there, but when you don't have a mag in, there is a lip that sticks out, and it is, stick it to my jacket, and I pick something up, it's not going to compress as much as like just a regular elastic mag placard would, like a Spiritus or something. So maybe I'll run this, maybe I won't. I honestly haven't decided yet, but I've got that. I might just run. See, I really don't know what I'm gonna do here. I might just run this Blue Force Gear triple mag elastic placard because it will obviously sit pretty much slick, and then if you need it, you can get a mag in there. If there's a stage where, say, I have to have all 5 pistol mags because I've only got 2 on the belt, I'll probably run this and just stick extra pistol mags in here. But otherwise, my 5 rifle mags will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I suspect I will only need 1 here in this Spiritus spud pouch. So yeah. The way I saw it at Nationals, at least for the stage that I watched, they placed their mags on the firing line, I think. Or maybe it was at the start line. Either way, they didn't have their mags on them until it was time to go shoot. So I'm not super concerned about the way I have these mags set up. But like I said, I've got the other placards. Once I get the stage brief, if I feel like I need to change it, I will. This is a GBRS belt. It's got 2 Haley Strategic pistol mags, 1 Haley Strategic rifle mag, and then, like I said, a Spiritus Systems spud pouch with 2 extra mags in it. Dirt Eater tourniquet holder up front by the buckle with tourniquet and Sharpie. I think I'm going to leave that. Didn't see anything on the website about needing, or the gear list rather, for needing an IFAK and a tourniquet, but I'm going to have them on there anyways. Safariland holster on a QLS attached to a True North Concepts paddle there. Yep, there we go. Multi-tool. The multi-tool doesn't really get in the way of anything, so I'm just going to leave it. It's in a Spiritus Systems pistol mag pouch. Blue Force Gear dump pouch. This dump pouch folds up into itself super easy. Then you just pull the little tab there and it comes out. It also doesn't get in the way, so I don't think I'm going to take it off. Yeah, so that's just going to stay there. Now I got to pack that back in there. Realized I mentioned medical. Didn't go over the back of the, well, I just didn't finish the front either, I guess. Faro Concepts admin pouch. I really don't keep anything in there other than batteries and a headlamp normally. Right now it's just got the chamber flag, which is a requirement for the tactical games. So that's going to stay on there. Probably take the Sharpie out. On the back, oh, these are the cummerbunds Spiritus. Yeah, Spiritus Systems elastic cummerbunds. These have obviously the mag inserts. So I'm going with elastic because it's gonna hold the carrier to my body the best. On the back, Faro Systems hydration back panel, or maybe it's just general purpose. I don't know what they call it. I use it to hold a hydration bladder. It kind of mounts onto the back of the Haley Strategic. The zippers are the same size, so that kind of works. The Molly is so-so, but I haven't had an issue with it coming off or loose or anything like that. Just some black shock cord to kind of suck it to the back of the plate carrier. It's not going to be in the way, so I'm not going to take it off. So, yeah. It's staying on there even though it's not going to serve a purpose. Who makes? Is it Faro? I don't know. Faro or Ford Observations Group, whoever makes it, the Roll 1, I think they both sell it. Roll 1 IFAK on the bottom. Like I said, they didn't say anything about needing an IFAK, but it's a shooting competition. I'm going to have an IFAK. Yeah, so that's the kit. Going to be doing over-the-ear ear pro. Liberator, not Liberator, Sordin, Sordin ear pro. I'm going to be wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Knee sleeves, because my knee sucks. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Like I said, just kind of taking a variety of options, and I'm going to reassess what I need at the beginning or end of each stage. So yeah, I guess I'm going to head out and go check in, and you'll see me tomorrow. Headed for my first Tactical Games experience. Pretty excited for it. So hope you enjoy watching it. Thanks.
How many first-time competitors do we have out here? Raise your hand. Big round of applause. How many 30 plus? This is my favorite game. One of the first actual Tactical Games events was held at this range right here, RPR in 2019. This is the first event of our 2026 season, which I'm incredibly excited about. Hopefully you guys all are too. It's going to be hard this weekend. You're going to fail at something, you're going to miss shots, you're going to be frustrated with yourself. That's part of it. Enjoy that. Find opportunity for improvement through those failures. Don't take it as something went wrong, I didn't do good. Figure out a way to fix it. Make it better next time. I promise you, if you approach this weekend with that intent, you will come out better at the end of it, all right? Let's give a big round of applause for all the volunteers. Next up, a big round of applause for all the range officers. All the and finally, a big round of applause for the Tactical Games staff.
Judges, please see what you stop watching. Thumbs up when you're ready. Athletes, thumbs up when you're ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
We get a photo of that. That's a good finish.
He says almost dead, right?
3, 2, 1, go!
All right, good morning. Second day of the Tactical Games Texas Regional. I am super sore. Gonna need some help on this. Yesterday, starting on stage 3, sandbag roll, big stressor on the hamstrings. Really didn't seem like much watching it, but getting into it on about the second lap out of 4 really started to burn out the hammies, and they're feeling it today. Rope climbs on the next stage, stage 4, big upper body burner with the rope climbs, and then sandbag over the wall for misses, and shooting sideways out of that little slotted barricade without being able to have like a vertical sight picture was a little bit of a challenge. Not used to that, haven't been practicing that. Following that, a good 3-mile run with the plate carrier on already taxed legs. It's no joke, that's for sure. Looking forward to today, but pretty worried about, I don't know, being able to maintain throughout the day. Have kind of like yesterday, where it was 3 fitness events and then a shooting event that didn't require any physical stress, starting off with some heavier carries today for the first stage, then a fitness only event. I think it's going to be burpee broad jumps, an unknown number of reps, and then a rowing event. So Following that will be, just like yesterday, a shooting only event. Not gonna be getting the heart rate up for that. So.
Go!
My back hasn't hurt that bad in a long time. Dude.
Time cap is 90 seconds. Your loadout was going to be a 2x6 rifle, 2x6 pistol. Please have the exact amount. Fire! Alright, ready to go!
All right. Well, that's a wrap on the 2026 Texas Regionals Tactical Games at Revilie Peak Ranch. That is, man, that is no joke as far as competitions go. I mean, if you've been watching the few videos that have been up on the channel already, you know I don't have a whole lot of experience in the competition arena. This is my second actual shooting competition. Big contrast between the two competitions. If you're not familiar with the old 18 defense, it's kind of a choose your own adventure sort of competition. Not in the like there's a laid out course, right? You know, as far as what gear you bring, what your kit looks like, and how you perform in the competition is kind of up to you. You know, you take off at the start line and you know, run for an unknown distance, you know, run, ruck, walk, you know, shoot the stages. You find out, you know, what's gonna happen at each stage when you get there. You don't really know what to expect, and you just you show up and you shoot it and make the best of it. Whereas the tactical games, it was definitely more of a structured fitness competition, if you will. It was here's the stages ahead of time. Here's your round count for the stages. This is what is going to be expected of you. And then you get to the stage after you've had, you know, a decent amount of time to prepare for it. And then it's just balls to the wall, like suck fest for most of the stages. You know, I kind of talked about the first day already. There were definitely some things in that first day that I could have been better at. I didn't really go into the competition with like much of an expectation for myself. I really just wanted to, one, film it to give to you guys, and then two, just to feel it out and see what the competition itself was like and how I would perform, just kind of baseline. It was a kick in the gut for sure. Starting off with the first stage, doing the rolls, the sandbag flips. I didn't even know what that movement was when I got the stage brief. I think it was a day or two before the event, and I looked it up online and was like, okay, well maybe that is what it is, where it's on the ground, you're flipping it over, and I'm like, well, that doesn't really seem like much. Like, you know, a 200-pound sandbag I was expecting to like stress carry or something, or have to like flip it over my shoulder like I'd been working on. And boy, did I underestimated that event a lot. It took it out of me. I was, it wasn't bad getting that first lap in to do the initial firing sequence, and then coming back, you're doing double the work. Coming back, flipping it backwards, and then flipping it forwards. You're doing double the work that you did when you started out, and that's when it really hit me. And that was the only fitness stage that I didn't complete. There was another stage that I'll talk about in a minute that I also didn't complete, but that was because I got target focus, and kind of my strategy kind of fell apart for that one. But that first stage that I did, like stage 3, I think it was. I was feeling it after that, and I was honestly kind of concerned, because even though you go into it with like, I'm just gonna see what I can do, in the moment you do get a little worked up, like, man, that was the first one. What is coming next? Yeah, so I was feeling it after that first one. The shooting was pretty difficult. If you want a competition that, in reference to the first stage, the shooting was pretty difficult. If you want a competition that is going to really like kind of push your physical limit, definitely got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to control my breathing, but I can't breathe slow enough to really focus on the shot. That was the tactical games in a nutshell. Whereas in contrast, like the run and guns, old 18 defense, it is up to you to pace yourself to whatever degree that you want, is what I kind of meant by choose your own adventure. You can hustle through the whole thing if you want, and gas yourself out, push yourself as hard as you want to push. Whereas the expectation in the tactical games is you're going to push as hard as you can during the event. Most of the physical stages had a 15-minute time cap, and it was very well balanced with, like, you couldn't sandbag the stage and expect to finish all of the work in that 15-minute time frame. So that's kind of like where the expectation came from, is like, if I'm going to complete the stage, I have to really work. So moving on to the second stage, rope climbs with bag over the wall. It's like a 6-foot wall. Actually, I take that back. You didn't have to put the bag over the wall on the men's tactical division to start out. You only did that for remedial work for shots missed. I was like, okay, rope climb, something I definitely know how to do. Shooting, it was like somewhere around 150 yard, maybe a little bit shorter. Figured it was 150 yards, so I'm going to have a little bit of bullet drop for my 100-yard zero, but not much. But the targets, however, were like a 5-inch, maybe 6-inch, I think it was, steel square. And that was just counting, you either made the impact or you didn't, and then you had to do remedial work. So rifle and pistol wasn't really that far. Working off of the little barricade they had with the horizontal ports, pretty difficult, right? Because you got your, at least for myself, because you have your offset, right, for your optic to the bore, and the ports just aren't wide enough to get a vertical sight picture. So I started having to shoot sideways, which in the moment, there's another thing, right, that it points out, that competitions point out that you might not get in training, right? Is I didn't know what my holes needed to be for shooting sideways like that. I didn't, think about how now, in reference to my scope, the bullet isn't coming in line with my optic at 100 yards. It's staying, offset by that, 1.5, 2 inches, whatever yours happens to be, and then dropping from there.
You still don't know.
After the fact, when you're calmed down and you have time to think about it, it's okay, sure, I can probably make that shot. But in the moment, I was like, miss, turns into 80-pound bag over the 6-foot wall, hop over the wall, over and over again. That ended up costing me quite a bit of time and was definitely my closest finish. You know, I'm not one personally that enjoys someone in my ear, you know, like trying to push motivation. But if it hadn't been for my judge yelling at me about the time and how I needed to hustle, I probably wouldn't have completed that stage in time, because I literally fell into the finish line with 1 second to spare. But the rope climbs definitely, I guess just the combination of hoisting that bag over the wall or whatever, like really burned out my lats and arms. And not gonna lie, I was getting a little sketched out on the last couple rope climbs, thinking could give out any minute here, any second could give out and be plummeting to the ground. But I wasn't gonna take any of those. I'll say my ego wasn't gonna take any of those burpees over bar, which was the if they gave you the option, if you couldn't complete the rope climbs, there's another movement you can, for safety reasons, there's another movement you can do. Yeah, I didn't hit quite the point of fatigue on the second stage that I did on the first stage, but yeah, moving on from there was the sprint question mark. I think they were trying to kind of gaslight you into thinking it was going to be a short run and get you to burn out in the first couple 100 yards, but 3-mile run, nothing but your 15-pound plate carrier and some hills. Revilie Peak Ranch has some intense hills. You know, they're not like real big hills, but they get kind of steep. And after the first 2 stages of the day being heavy on legs, kind of, you know, with the rope climbs. If you're doing a rope climb right, you're using more legs than you are arms. And then flipping that 200-pound bag in the first stage, just burning my hamstrings out. The run was a suck. Surprisingly did pretty well on that. If I'm reading the scores right, apparently I got second in my division for that. I don't know how, but it was not my fastest 3-mile, that is for sure. And then thankfully, for the last stage of the day, it was a long range shooting sequence that didn't require any physical ability, but the wind was gusting probably 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts with kind of a weird hillside where the wind was doing some strange things up there. It was making impacts really difficult. But the takeaway for that stage was, you know, you had 3 different firing positions. You had to engage all 3 targets at, I'm going to guess it was 200-ish yards to 500 to 600, let's say. You would get points taken away for not engaging. You would also get points taken away for missing, but the not engaging, I think, was the heavier hitter for that. And so, you know, the strategy going into that, you could do the firing sequence, which was 1 stage, boom, 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 and then next stage, same thing, or you could kind of game it, which is kind of the way I think most of us were going into it, and the way I was thinking about going into it, which was first stage, engage closest target, get a hit, send one middle, send one far, move on to the next one, get all of your close shots done, and then focus on the farther ones that were a little bit more difficult because of the distance and the wind. I did that through most of the stage, got to my last one, got the close impact, went to the middle target at like 500. You know, it might have been a little bit closer, somewhere between 400 and 500. Started sending rounds, started getting frustrated, seeing my splashes, but not an impact, and timed out. Got a failure to engage on that farthest target at the 3rd firing position, which is kind of a breakdown in my mental game plan, and I got target focus on that second to last target. So I could have improved my score on that stage there by, you know, slowing down, thinking through my strategy, and executing that instead of kind of falling apart there at the end. Day 2. not gonna lie, I was kind of missing the one-day competition format by the morning of the second day. Had a kind of a bit of a tough time falling asleep with being as sore as I was, and then waking up, I was like, oh man. You got your overall like fitness portion of it where you're like, you know, what can I put out in the moment? But then also your recovery. And the tactical games, the 2-day events like the regional highlights is your recovery up to par. I wasn't in a state of preparedness physically for going into the next day. Super sore, pretty worried about what was gonna, you know, come of the next day. But hey, that's part of, you know, what that competition highlights. Showed up second day, first stage, a Zercher's carry and a sandbag stress carry. Zercher's carry was an axle bar, 165 pounds, somewhere between 150 to 135 pound sandbag. About a 30-yard carry, and then kind of a little bit of like a marksmanship shot, not too far, like 100 yards probably, at, I'm gonna guess they were like 7 or 8 inch triangles. Whew, that stage was embarrassing. I've power cleaned 165 before. You know, by many people's standards, you should be able to do that, especially if you're going to be entering in the tactical games, in the tactical division or elite division or whatever, which was a heavier weight. I don't power clean much. I used to do it some. I don't like the stress that it puts on my wrist, so I decided to stop doing it. That was probably the most embarrassing stage for me personally. I ended up completing the stage. The timer went off for go and got to the axle bar, which is the first thing we were carrying. Went to power clean it. If you work out, you've probably had this happen before. You know, you go up to a weight, you've done it before, but for whatever reason, your body just says, no, not today. We're going lighter today. Well, that was that morning. That was that first stage. As soon as I picked up the axle bar, I knew that wasn't happening. So I had to kind of like a little bit of a panic moment, you know, in the back of my head, like, okay, we might not complete this stage. Had to figure out a different way to load the bar into the front carry. Eventually got the bar up, you know, taken off well behind, you know, everyone else, but that's part of the competition. That's highlighting, you know, the things that you need to work on. I'll probably implement power cleans back into my workout routine. Yeah, the sandbag, no problem. The Zercher bar, dreaded it. The axle bar, dreaded it every time I picked it up. And that evolution sucked. Got to the point, fatigue-wise, where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to aim for the paper, and if it lands in the triangle, it lands in the triangle, great. So just started flinging rifle rounds, focused a little bit more on pistol rounds because I was a little bit less fatiguing, and just tried to grind through the evolution. Honestly, pretty surprised that I finished ahead of the deadline. Moving on to the next stage of the day, it was what was it? Oh, the only stage in the event that I was like, we could do without this, was the burpee broad jumps. No shooting involved, just plate carrier, no weapons. 6-foot jump in between. I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like there's a whole lot to talk about on this stage. If you've made it this far, you watched that portion, you understand what happened. If you didn't land inside the box, if you touched any portion of the box, it was a no rep and you had to keep going. Whew. Next stage, rower, right? So back to what was actually considered stage 1 now, because you start at, you know, whatever, they space everybody out. I started at 3, so now I'm back to stage 1, which was my third stage of the second day on Sunday. And yeah, that one was interesting. I had gotten a piece of beta from another competitor that the targets were at like 100 and no, they were at 460-ish yards. I don't know how he came by that piece of information, but I was guessing about 500. So knowing my dope for my rifle and the 100-yard zero was going to be about 8 MOA to the target. We had a little bit of wind coming in. It was kind of swirling, but for the most part from right to left. So I gave it 3 MOA of windage. And so after completing a 30-calorie row, you shot, I think it was 7 rounds at that rifle target. And that was what was getting a lot of people. The remediation for missing shots in that stage was a probably 30 or so yard run. You had to, do a down and back for every miss on either the rifle or the pistol. Pistol wasn't that bad, wasn't too far away, or I say that it wasn't that bad. It was, distance wise wasn't too bad, but the kicker was one-handed pistol shots, alternating between strong hand and weak hand, and that ended up costing me the stage. So I do have to take that back. The first stage I competed in on day 1 was not the only physical stage I didn't complete. I did not complete the rower stage on day 2. Started out with the dope that I figured would work, got a first round impact, so that really helped me out for that stage, right? I didn't have to accumulate misses trying to figure out what my hold was. Got it on the first shot, so just started repeating that and went through 2 rowing iterations with minimal misses. I started accumulating misses on the pistol, especially towards the end. Once I started to fatigue, I got to the point where I could hold the pistol steady, but as soon as I started putting pressure on the trigger, it would just, my red dot was just, or my dot, sorry, buffering. I have a green dot on my pistol. My dot was just shaking back and forth, so decided to just use the iron sights because that was a less distracting sight picture, but still got quite a few misses with pistol. Made it through the first iteration, only 3 misses. I think all of the rifle shots were hits. The 3 were pistol. Did the remediation. Made it through the second iteration okay. Accumulated a few more pistol misses and then kind of fell off on the third stage with the rifle. I went in. I started sending rounds with only about 1 MOA of windage hold. I think that was probably because I had seen the windsock doing something, like laying down or something. I should have kept it on that 3-ish MOA windage hold because that cost me some rifle misses. And then I had quite a few. I had 10 remediation runs accumulated at that point because pistol was just starting to fall off the board. Kind of pulled it together a little bit on the last iteration there after those 10 runs with the rifle, corrected my windage hold, knew from that third round, like, okay, I've got to hold it at that 3 MOA windage, and completed the row just in the nick of time before it cut off, but I still got points taken off for not firing the last iteration of rifle and pistol. That felt like a really good stage. Out of the entire competition, that was probably my favorite stage just because it felt like a really even mix of physical effort to shooting. And having gone through most of the competition at that point, it kind of worked out like some of the nerves. That second to last stage, I had kind of calmed down to the point where I was like, okay, like just calm down, focus on shooting and pace yourself, breathe throughout the event, So that was a good stage. Like I said, probably my favorite. The last stage of the event, 4th stage of the second day, was a 2-gun deal. Targets weren't that far, probably 20-ish. No, they started out at like 15 yards. Then your second firing position for pistol was like 10. Kind of reduced size A zones, not a full IPSC target. Yeah, pretty straightforward. 6 shots rifle, 6 shots pistol for time, right? Decided I didn't want any Charlies and I didn't want any Deltas on that, so slowed down a little bit on the rifle, focused beforehand, reminded myself several times of I need about a 2-inch hold, took my time, bang, 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 and went through the course. Ended up with 1 Charlie, which I was kind of disappointed about, but, because I sacrificed time over accuracy. Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel too bad, and then that was it, and that was a wrap on my first tactical games. Not sure when the next one's going to be. If there's a skirmish, I might participate in that. Not going to lie, 2 days was fun, but if you're looking at getting into tactical games, you can always just say, screw it and go, dive right in, do a full 2-day deal. I think that's probably the best way to really figure out where you're at. But a skirmish would be fun, just a day event. Yeah, so I guess how I performed throughout the entirety of the match. Overall, out of 148 competitors, I finished in the 56th place, so kind of middle of the pack, finishing there, which I can't complain. First one ever. I honestly expected to be a lot farther down the list. For the men's tactical division, the division that I was entered in, out of 29 competitors, got 12th. So once again, kind of right there in the middle of the pack. Glad to have done it. Seen where I'm sitting in that ranking, and I learned a lot and got a lot out of it that I need to improve upon. And just also really like broadens your view on what you can do personally in your own training, different movements that you can put into your own workout. Really provides you with a lot of structure that you could implement into your own stuff. So yeah, moving on from here, we've got an Old 18 Defense event happening here in Texas, as well as a mystery operations. Haven't competed in mystery ops yet, so that might be the next one. Who knows? Might try and attack both of those here in the near future. So that was definitely some Type 2 fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Something else that I learned from the tactical games and whatnot is how to film these. So I'm going to continue to try and get better. I had a ton of help and support from my wonderful girlfriend who did most of the filming for this. She did a great job. Yeah, so I think that's it. That was a little bit more than Type 2 fun. I was kind of pushing Type 3 if Type 3 is a thing. I hope you guys have a great week. If you don't mind, I'm going to go shoot this MPX, and yeah, that's it.